Hi, I'm Kelly with citruscycles.ca. I'm here with Tern's GSD. It's an innovative, versatile cargo bike powered by the Bosch Performance line. I'm going to go through the detailed specs on this bike, tell you what I like about it, talk about some of the accessories, take you on a ride test, but you can find all the details on the bike, including the specs, the current pricing, the accessories, everything else on our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll also find our contact information so you can reach out if you want to set up an appointment to come try it here in beautiful Ladysmith on Vancouver Island. Take advantage of our Try at Home program, or if there's anything that I missed and you have specific questions, I'm happy to address those for you. That's all over on our website at citruscycles.ca. So it's a really innovative bike because it is a cargo bike, 400-pound capacity. We can put 2 kids on the back there with child seats, or an adult or an older child. You can see we've got optional stoker bars, cushions, bags. You can get what they call the clubhouse, which is kind of like bars that can kind of contain your kids, give them something to hang on to. That even has cup holders, which is pretty cool. We've got foot pegs down here that are retractable if you're riding with older kids or adults. It's really cool. You just push that in and they slide out. Or for younger kids, they've got bars that go the whole length here, so they can rest their feet on. Like I said, these bags, you can get a rack on the back, rack on the front. Lots of cool accessories, so they've really thought it out. 400-pound capacity, so you can ride, with a lot of cargo, a lot of kids and adult. But all of those things, this is actually about the same length as a regular bike. So it's not a huge bike that's difficult to control or manage. It's not much bigger than a regular bike. They've achieved that by using these 20-inch wheels. And you may think, oh no, 20-inch wheels, it's going to ride like, really difficult. It's going to be hard to handle. They worked with Schwalbe to make these Supermoto X. These are actually 2.4-inch wide, 20-inch wheels. They're balloon tires, so you can get the air pressure really low, high volume of air, and it really smooths the ride out. I was really impressed with riding this bike. When you get on, the trick is don't look down at the front wheel because it looks so far away and so small. Just look where you want to go. Rides like a regular bike. It's the same length as a regular bike, handles really, really well. So really cool that they've managed to make a bike that is so compact with a lot of cargo room, rides like a regular bike, and with these 20-inch wheels you've got a much lower center of gravity, so that's great when you're handling a load. If you've got kids on there or a passenger or just a bunch of stuff, it's nice to have a lower center of gravity. Also makes it easier for getting kids on and off, for yourself or for the kids to get on and off as well, which is really nice. Another really cool innovative feature of this bike is that you can actually stand it up on its end to make it take up less space in, say, your office or an elevator in your apartment, wherever you need to store it. So you can even fold down the handlebars here. So we just lift that up, fold that down, and boom, it's folded down. There's even a strap here that you can use, here we go, to stabilize the handlebars while it's standing up or while it's folded down. So just close that back up. And while I'm talking about the handlebars, this bike has been designed to fit multiple riders, which is really clever with a cargo bike. It's often that you'll be wanting to share this. And so we've got this tool-free adjustment. Just open up these 2 levers here like that. And now you can slide the bars forward to be lower or backwards to be lower, higher. You've got lots of adjustments there. And it's tool-free. Just clamp those down nice and sturdy and strong, so you're not worried about it moving while you're riding, which is great. And same with the seat height here. We've got actually a telescopic 2-piece seat post here, so we've got a quick release down here. You can see we've got quite a bit of height there, and then a second one here that we can get even higher. So you can get this massive height adjustment on the seat, so it really supports multiple riders. While I'm thinking about it, let me see if I can get it to stand up on the end for you, so it'll just take me a moment. Okay, so here we go. You can see that you can actually just stand it right up on its end. It's really actually very stable when you're doing that, which is incredible. So it's really quite stable. I wouldn't recommend standing it up on a slope like this normally. I just wanted to demonstrate that, ideally that's for storing indoors, and nice that it really doesn't take up very much room, or maybe you're on a boat or something like that. It's a really great bike for that. Boaters especially, when you get off your boat, a lot of times it's uphill and you're trying to go get provisions. Nice to have the cargo capacity. Instead of these seat cushions, you could actually get a cargo tray that you could put boxes in. You can even get a front rack, and the front rack doesn't move when you steer, so that's nice because it doesn't impact the handling of the bike. So you can put a heavy load up there, and there's a nice basket for that as well. And of course we've got these massive cargo bags here as well that you can use. I'll have to show you how big they are. These are all options, of course, that you can choose when you order the bike. So you can see really big box there, reflective piping on it, of course, some inside compartments with zippers, water bottle holders, lots of stuff. Cool thing about this is you can actually have it open, and you can put the clips in here. Again, easier to do if I wasn't trying to do it with one hand. There we go. That'll keep that open, and if you have passengers, they can actually put their feet in there, and you can still put stuff in there, and you can put a lot of stuff in there. When you're not using them, as you can see, they fold up nice and flat, and just clip those back in, and doesn't take up much room on the bike. So lots of options. These seat cushions, it's really quite clever to get them off. You just pull up, they're not Velcro like a lot of bikes, and look how thick they are. They're really, really comfortable. My daughter tells me super comfortable. So just pull up on this tab and they slide right off, and you can see there's a mounting mechanism there. Basically just put it on, slide it, it clicks in, and it's locked on. So really versatile in that you can easily take things on and off to use this for passengers or for gear and cargo. Another neat option we've got is these stoker bars for your passenger to hang on to. They've even put a little removable Allen wrench in there, I think with the 3, 4, and 5, 4, 5, and 6 millimeter ends on it. So that's really cool that that's just in there as well. And yeah, lots of cool accessories. Again, really well thought out. You can check out all the accessories on our website at citruscycles.ca. So I got a little sidetracked there. It's, you know, it's such an exciting bike. I keep kind of wandering all over the place. Let me go back to the bike features now that I've talked about the cargo capacity. But let me also mention, look how low of a standover height here this is. This is great. So easy to get on and off. So if you do have kids on the back, you can step right through. You're not going to be putting your foot over the back and hitting them in the head. So that's a nice feature that they've really thought it out. We've got a double kickstand here again for making it stable for adding kids. It's not necessarily super stable like something you'd find maybe on the Extra Cycle where it's like really wide. This is moderately wide, so it's got some stability, but you know, I wouldn't want to have two kids jumping on and hoping that it isn't going to fall off. You may want to, that it's not going to topple over. You may want to stabilize it a little bit. If they're careful, of course, that kickstand works fine. I think it has an 80 kilo capacity, so it's a good but not amazing kickstand. Otherwise, everything else about the bike is pretty awesome. Like I said, I love this low standover height, so you can load up the kids, give them a hand loading them up. You know, your kickstand's going to be fine while you're loading them up, giving a little stability to the bike, and then you can just climb right on and right off. You're ready to go. So they've really thought those things through. We've got lots of mounting points here for water bottle cages or locks, which is nice. We can put a front rack on as well. As the front rack here, we could put kind of a pannier rack on the front there, bags on the back, just lots and lots of capability. So of course this is an electric cargo bike powered by the Bosch performance line, and it's capable of dual batteries. You can see we have one 400 watt-hour battery here and an optional second 500 watt-hour battery here. To remove the batteries, you'll have to slide these cushions off, but fortunately, as you saw, that's really easy to do. Just pull that tab, they slide right off. You need the keys, of course, to remove the batteries. You know, I think Tern unfortunately sent a separate key for each lock, which I'm not super keen on. It would have been nice if they keyed them both the same. So, you know, when they come in, we label the keys so we know which lock is which is handy to know when you're trying to get the keys on and off now, or the batteries on and off. Now, you don't have to take the batteries off to charge the batteries. You can charge them. There's a charging flap right here. You can just plug it in and it'll charge both batteries, which is really handy. You can, of course, remove them if you want to. And because the Bosch batteries are backwards compatible, you could put two 500s on there if you wanted, or two 400s, which is, you know, one of those neat things that Bosch did, is they made sure that when they came out with the new 500 watt-hour battery, they made it backwards compatible. So if you'd bought a Bosch bike a few years back, you can still use the latest battery. Bosch System is a mid-drive motor. A number of advantages to that. We get the weight low and centered on the bike. It also means that the motor is turning the chain, and so that means when you change gears, and we do have a 10-speed cassette back here, Shimano Dior, really, again, nice high-quality components. Got the Shadow Plus clutch here to tighten up the chain. We've got a little pulley system here as well, and it's really secure on there. I've never had that fall off. That's kind of nice. Some other bikes, like on the Brew Hall, it was kind of always falling off on me. That's really secure, nice to see. With the 20-inch wheel, one of the downside is, you know, when we're in some of our gears here, you can see we don't have a lot of clearance here. Now, I'm not worried about hitting a curb because, you know, my pedals or, you know, any other part of the bike's going to hit the curb before my derailleur hanger does. But if you're doing, you know, you shouldn't on a cargo bike, you're not going to be doing these huge drops or things like that. But just keep in mind, you do have that derailleur hanger a little bit closer to the ground there. But we do have a 10-speed cassette. So when you change gears to go up a hill, you're making it easier for you to pedal, but it also is making it easier for the motor, because the motor is now part of the transmission. So you make it easier for you to pedal, and it's also easier for the motor. So that's another advantage of the mid-drive. Also easier to change a flat tire. That's just a standard wheel with, as you can see, super wide rims in order to support these Schwalbe Supermoto X 2.4 wide tires. They do have a fair degree of puncture resistance built in, and they do have a reflective sidewall here as well to keep you safe, which is nice. Getting back to the Bosch system here, we do have a full-length chain cover, which is great. Again, this is a practical bike. This is your SUV, right? This is your car replacement. And so you don't want to have to get dressed specially to ride your bike. You can just wear whatever you want because you've got the chain guard on there. Same with the pedals. This is clever. I like this. So a lot of times I don't like the pedals that come with bikes because I ride in the rain and my feet will slide off. So Tern said, well, let's not put metal pins. Again, that might cause a problem for, you know, the casual rider. This is just kind of the sandpapery type of grippy material that isn't going to cause injury if your foot slide, you know, if you hit your shin against it, but it's also going to keep your foot on the pedal so that if you are riding in rain, you're not having to worry about sliding off. So that's, again, a nice little attention to detail feature. They have added a spring. I don't care for these springs, so the cool thing is this is actually a quick release. I think they probably designed that so that when you're standing the bike up, you can flip the wheel around to flop around, but you could also just take it off if you don't want it. That's designed to keep the front wheel kind of straight for you when you're you know, getting on and off the bike and when you're riding. We do have these custom fenders. This is awesome. Like, again, you know, they kind of had to work with Schwalbe to get these 2.4-inch 20-inch tires, and they would have had to make their own fenders in order to accommodate that. And it's great that they've done that with lots of attachment points here. I'm wondering if we could actually fit a frame lock in here. We may have to get a wider frame lock, but it's nice to have those attachment points. This is actually a through axle on the front here. So again, super robust. That's how they get that 400-pound capacity, is by making sure that it's really, really strong. I think these are what, 180, I'd have to check on our, yeah, 180 millimeter rotors. Now, when you have a small tire like this, a 180 rotor is actually like the equivalent of 200 or more on a regular sized bike because the wheel itself is so small. So you've got lots of stopping power. In fact, these are Magura MT5 quad piston brakes. That's something you generally see on high-end mountain bikes. I'm so excited that Tern really took this seriously and said, you know what, you've got 400 pounds, you're going fast down a hill, you need good brakes to stop. So quad piston brakes up front, and let's check in the back here. I'm wondering if they put quad piston on the back, if I can get past the bag here. This is just Velcro, so it's easy to get off. Yeah, look at that, quad piston up, down, back as well. That is awesome. You don't even see that on mountain bikes. So they've really, you know, through axles and quad piston brakes, 2.4-inch wide tires. Look at all the material in the frame here. Like, look at the rack house, how much they put in there. It's super, super strong. Built-in lights running off of your main battery. So we've got the light back here and the front light up here as well. Let me turn the bike on. The power key is right here. This is the Purion display from Bosch, by the way. Nice and compact. It's not removable, so you don't have to worry about it getting stolen or anything like that. I just turned the bike on. There's our current speed, current level of assistance, and battery charge. I'm going to turn my lights on by pressing and holding the plus, and you can see the little symbol there. Now there's also an on-off switch on the light here. Just leave it on the whole time, because if you don't have the Bosch light on, so let's turn that off by pressing and holding the plus, and you turn this on and off and nothing happens, it's like, what? My light's broken. It's because you first have to tell Bosch, hey, send power to the lights. Oh, okay. And then it would be kind of silly to then have to turn that on. So just leave it on, and now you can see nice and bright. There's a protective film on it here that we can take off to make it brighter. Easy to adjust the angle on, and light in the back as well. Again, running off of your main battery, so that, oh, and there's 2 LEDs in there, which is nice and bright. So you don't have to worry about charging them. They're always with you, which is great to see. So with the Pure On display, you can see we've got it off right now. Pressing the plus closer to the screen instead of the end here will move it up to Eco. We've also have Tour, Sport, and Turbo is the maximum. And Turbo is definitely something you're going to use a lot when you've got a big load and going up a hill. Not so much Eco, but if you do really need to extend the range and you're just riding by yourself, Eco is going to give you just a little bit of assistance and give you tremendous range. Now if you're looking for tremendous range, get the option with the dual batteries, because then you're not going to have any sort of range anxiety. If you do have range anxiety, the cool thing is you can press and hold the minus button here. You can look at your trip distance, you can look at your total odometer, and you can look at your range. So it's basically calculating based on how much is left in the battery, how much you've used for the last few kilometers. It's projecting forward how much more you can ride. So that's pretty cool, and that's accessed by pressing and holding the minus button. Pressing and holding the plus and minus together is going to reset your trip information, which is really handy. And this does have walk mode, which is super handy on a cargo bike, because there will be perhaps situations, maybe you're getting off a ferry or something like that, where they don't want you riding or in your pedestrian area, but it's a heavy bike because you've got kids or big load, and you don't want to push the bike yourself. So the little button under here says walk. Press and hold that. The display says walk plus. That's your visual cue at that point to press and hold the plus button. That's going to move the bike along for you at a, I think, 4 or 5 km/h pace, which is a good kind of walking pace. So it's nice having that walk mode as well. So we've talked about the Bosch system, super reliable. I love the fact that Bosch has parts in stock and a really great service team. So if we ever need assistance with the bike, easy to get, and it's very familiar to a lot of bike shops. So no matter where you are with this bike, you're likely to find somebody that has some familiarity with the Bosch system. So we've had a lot of good success with that. Trying to think if there's anything else I've missed. Oh sure, the grips. These are Ergons. They're a kind of a newer grip. I'd have to look up on our website the specific model number. They're actually designed for these swept back bars. So you can see the bars kind of sweep back a little bit here, and then the grip kind of comes around this way, and I really like that. It makes them really comfortable. They are locking, so you tighten up that bolt and they're not going to swivel while you're riding. Got a bar end plug here, so you could put a mirror in, which I definitely recommend for riding in the city. It does come with a bell, and the bell you could actually activate with your thumb with gloves on even, which is great. And we've got our trigger shifters here. It's a Shimano Dior level with the visual indicator of your gear. I like the fact that you can either push this one with your thumb or pull it with your index finger to shift through your 10 gears. Talked about these Magura MT5 brakes, super responsive hydraulic disc brakes, self-adjusting, very little maintenance is required, which is great. Lots of accessories. I'll try to do another video with accessories at some point. You can check all of that out on our website at citruscycles.ca. If I've forgotten anything, if you have any questions, you want to come try it yourself, head over to our website at citruscycles.ca. So when you first get on the GSD, I always tell people, when you take it for a test ride, just look ahead to where you want to go, and it'll feel awesome. It just feels like you're riding a regular bike, and in fact the bike just kind of disappears from you, and it's fun, it's awesome, it's really enjoyable. But then if you look down in front of you and you go, whoa, the wheels are so small, it's so far away down there, and it feels very different when you look at it, because it is different. But when you don't look at it and just ride it, it's like riding a regular bike. Tern's done a great job at the geometry on this bike. I love that they're using the 2.4-inch wide tires because it really helps to smooth things out, gives you tons of traction and stability, and it's a great idea on a cargo bike, you know, because you've got the ability to transport 400 pounds, and so you want nice, wide, sturdy, stable wheels and rims, and I really like that about this. I love the adjustability with the handlebars here. We can get them more forward, lower, higher, closer, you know, lots of adjustments, which is really great because the cargo bike often is, you know, shared. So it's nice being able to adjust it for multiple riders. So I'll put the Bosch system up here to turbo for the hill. There we go, no problem. And you know, with the load, you're likely to end up, you know, a lot of people ride a regular bike with the Bosch on tour a lot, but I find if you've got a passenger, you've got cargo, you're going to be riding in the higher levels of assistance, more sport and turbo. So it's nice having that dual batteries because you are going to be using more assistance from the motor, at least if you're wanting to go fast like I do. If you don't mind taking your time, then you can go in a lower level of assistance, and of course you'll get a lot more range. But what a fun bike to ride. I really enjoy the geometry. Oh, you know, I haven't even noticed the length. Well, really, it's the same length as a regular bike, so you're not going to notice that at all. All you're going to notice is it's going to be a little bit strange at the beginning if you look down at the front tire. But if you're not looking at the front tire, it rides just like a regular bike. Sounds like you need to make an adjustment to the front fender there. It's nice because they do have two stays on that front fender, making it nice and stable, but I do need to adjust it a little bit. Going over bumps, I can hear. Speaking of bumps, this is a very bumpy road. There's no suspension on this bike other than the tires. So again, it's really nice having those tires to absorb a lot of the bumps. You're actually doing a good job. I've got the air pressure probably set right to the minimum, and that helps smooth things out. I would add a suspension seat post perhaps, although I'm actually surprised at how cushy this seat is. It seems to be absorbing a few of the bumps for me as well. So it's really not as bad as I imagined it would be for, you know, a rigid bike with 20-inch wheels. Can be kind of rough, but the wider balloon tires are helping. The seat's not bad, but you know, I might add a suspension seat post myself. Love these grips. They're really comfortable. Actually, this is a really interesting ergon grip. Not a lot of other bikes use this particular model. I'm finding with these swept back bars, they're really a great idea actually, because what it's doing is the grips actually kind of curve out, so my hands aren't angled towards me like they sometimes are with the swept back. So my hands are a little closer because they're swept back, but the angle is right instead of, well, I guess I should say the angle is correct. Or better than what I like with swept back bars. So I'm liking that as well. Tern put a lot of thought into this bike, and when you ride it, you really notice that all those things come together, and it's just a fun bike to ride. Back onto pavement here, shifting is quite smooth. Easily get up to that 32 km/h cutoff speed, and it just rolls really well. Loving the Magura brakes, lots of modulation in them. You know, quad piston brakes are something you usually see on mountain bikes. It's nice to see that on a cargo bike too, because you could have, you know, a lot of weight behind you that you're going to want to be able to stop quickly. Got another hill here. Let's put it up into turbo for the hill. A little bit of that Bosch motor whining there as you get into the higher levels of assistance on hills. The rest of the time you usually don't hear it. No problem climbing this hill. Okay, so we'll do a hill test here. Not sure if the GPS will be accurate or not to show the gradient, but it's a relatively steep hill, I think exceeding 20%. And so this is the Bosch performance line, which gives us about 63 Newton meters of torque, which should be more than enough to get up the hill. It's kind of cool having a cargo bike that's, you know, the length of a regular bike. So as I try to get through these barriers here, it's not a problem. I'm not worried about the length. Riding through there with a tandem bike is a little trickier, that's for sure. Okay, I'll put her up to turbo and head up this hill. Oh, no problem, just going over the curb. I didn't hear the derailleur hitting, which I was a little bit concerned about. Of course, these tires handle bumps like that really well. Okay, so heading up the hill here, my easiest gear, no problem, averaging, you know, maybe 12 or 13 kilometers an hour. I could probably, yeah, I don't have to be in 1, 2 is just fine. So that means I could go on an even steeper hill, might be going a little bit slower, or if I had a load, might be going a little bit slower, but no problem at all making it up. Now, if they decided to put the Bosch CX drive on instead, I wouldn't complain. That would give us 25% more torque, but this seems to be plenty torque, and I think it's helped them to achieve a really good price point. I mean, that's something I didn't mention in the rest of the video that I probably should have, is this really is an incredible value for the price, for the accessories that are available, being dual battery, the quality of the components. You know, it is pretty incredible. Another nice feature of this bike being so small and compact is if you are riding in cities where you've got a lot of congestion and you're needing to kind of get around things, you're not worried about the extra length of a cargo bike like you might normally be. Alright, we'll head down the hill here and back to the shop. Don't anticipate any sort of speed wobble with this bike, but and on a cargo bike you shouldn't be riding without your hands on the handlebars anyways. But yeah, no speed wobble that I can detect. Even though it's a nice low standover height, the bike is incredibly stiff, so you're not going to have any handling problems at all. You know, hitting 45 kilometers an hour. Well, I'm still able to pedal a bit after 40. That's pretty cool. So they got the gearing ratio is nice. I can still climb hills, but I can't actually, you know, pedal past 40. Of course, on a cargo bike, you're not often going to be going that fast, especially if you've got passengers, but it's nice to know that you can do that. So for the complete details on the bike, current pricing, any other information, head over to our website at citruscycles.ca.